All right, gang, welcome back to the Real Sports Talk. Today, we got a special guest with us. We have Dave Riley, the coach of Eastern Washington Eagles basketball team. We are super excited to have him with us today, and we will get right into it.
Oh, just excited to be on. Thanks for having me, and like what you're doing here.
Appreciate you. So I just kind of want to get into kind of who coaches, little introduction, kind of tell us where you're from, kind of what got you into coaching and things like that.
Yeah, so I grew up in Palo Alto, California. I was born in Seattle. My dad was going to med school there, um, and then grew up down in the Bay Area. But always kind of had an affinity for the Northwest. My dad went to school at Whitworth actually, and both my mom and dad went to school at Whitworth. Spent a lot of time up here with Glenn Williams, who's the high school coach at Meade High School. He was my dad's college roommate, and so during the summers I would spend time with him for like 2 weeks and go to camp with him for a week, go to Gonzaga camp, kind of just hang out at the lake. And Spokane in July and June is tough to beat, so kind of fell in love with the area. And that's a big place I fell in love with hoops too. Get to hang around with his son Brian Williams, and his teammate was Adam Morrison, and got to kind of see him develop as a college player a few years before I did, and just kind of seeing the impact that Glenn had on kids, not only high school kids, but able to build a program that really developed basketball in the north of Spokane. Like, he was running middle school camps and making sure the AAU teams in middle school were running the right stuff and getting coached the right way. So it turned into this whole thing where it helped the community, just because he was the high school basketball coach there. So just kind of seeing that, along with growing up, hearing stories from my uncle and hearing stories from my grandpa, having coached in the CFL, NFL, NCAA football, and just kind of hearing all those stories of the relationships they developed and the different things that they did as coaches really kind of got me into it, and that's kind of why I started coaching.
Most definitely. Okay, so I want to take it back to the Whitworth days real quick. You played 2007 to 2011, correct?
Yep.
Okay, what was the memory that you took from Whitworth? Something that you enjoyed out of Whitworth?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, the basketball is great. I got to play for Coach Hayford, who, after my senior year, ended up going to Eastern Washington, and kind of the idea of making the big time where you are really hit home. Like, we worked our tail off. There was a bunch of really, really high level practices and games, and to go to the NCAA tournament, Division III. It's right up there with Big Sky basketball, to be honest with you, when those teams are playing at their peak. And so just kind of seeing that it wasn't about the notoriety or the big crowds or anything like that. It was about the game and how you can achieve your potential. And I think that was something that really stuck with me, is about, kind of what it's all about. D3 sports is pretty damn pure, because it's for the love of the game for the most part.
Hmm.
Um, and so just kind of that level of competitiveness, um, and just the the real reason for playing was something that stuck with me as far as the basketball side. Um, as far as everything else, just it was a great college experience. I had great guys. Whitworth was a great school. I got to be a math major, mathematical economics major. Got to be a computer science minor, and really actually learned some stuff that helped me later on down the line. I got a complete education there, so really, really happy with my time at Whitworth.
I think that is what I like about Whitworth. I lived off of it was called Hooper Road. It was right next to the old stadium, to where before they built the new one.
Yeah.
But I just like Whitworth because Whitworth it's about, as you said, it's about the love of the game. But there's also, though, you're going to school, though. I had a buddy that got an Act Six scholarship when we came out of high school, and just the amount of work and the schoolwork, like it's not like a D1 where I feel like sometimes you see people just like skate by. If you're good, you can just skate by, and like at Whitworth, you can't skate by. Like, that's not happening. Um, okay, we talked about this a little bit before, but you finished fourth all time. You were Yes, fourth all time in the points with 1,664, along with making the Division III men's basketball tournament appearance, or three tournament appearances with a Sweet 16 and an Elite A. What was something? What give me like a memory as well from that time of maybe like the Elite Eight, Sweet 16.
I mean, you talk about the Elite Eights and the Sweet 16s. I remember we got screwed our senior year in the going to the Elite Eight. So we were the number one team in the country the whole season. I think we lost one game. Um, we hosted the first round, which is normal. They do it in pods. So the first two rounds we hosted, and then because there was no West Coast teams left, D3 wasn't going to send Division III wasn't going to send three Midwest or East Coast teams to Whitworth to play. They were going to fly one of us out to those places, so to save money. And so us as the number one team in the country ended up having to go to Wooster, Ohio, the number two team in the country, and play at their place. I don't know. I'm still a little salty about that, but no, I just think again, just the basketball is so great. The level we were able to play it at with Coach Hayford's fundraising was incredible, and then just to think about my time at Eastern afterwards. So I graduated from Whitworth. My next year, ended up being a grad assistant at Whitworth at Eastern Washington, and so our two of our freshmen that year were Parker Kelly and Tyler Harvey at Eastern Washington, who Parker both started all 4 years. Um, Ended up starting on the NCAA tournament team, one of the all-time greats here at Eastern. Well, Tyler Harvey was his roommate, same class, also a walk-on. Both of them were walk-ons their freshman year. Well, both of them were committed to Whitworth
Mm.
before Hayden got the job at Eastern. So I mean that kind of now I'm personally for me I'm like, well, shoot, if I got that chance I'd be as good as Tyler and Parker too. But no, I just think it just shows how
That's so
good
good.
how good the level was at Whitworth and what high character achieving kids can do when they put their mind to it and focus on development.
I agree. That is something that, first off, before I get too far, Tyler Harvey is probably one of my favorite Eastern players. I know his name hangs on the wall in the gym.
Hmm.
He is goated. That dude has a pure form. He has a pure shot to me. I love him. But that was something I wanted to talk about. You guys got an award just a little bit ago. It was the NABC an all team academic where you had to have a 3.0, and then I also seen that your upperclassmen had a 3.2 or higher, all of them this past season. Talk a little bit on how talk a little bit on like the education part and like why it's so important.
Well, first of all, I think it sets you up for life after basketball, and uh, I think it's just different. Everyone's in a different situation, right? There's some guys where I'm going to really push them to find a major that is something they want to, follow later in life, and really going to push them academically to stretch their mind and develop as a student. And there's other guys that finding a way to get a degree is a really really big deal, and it's hard as hell for them to get what some people would consider an easier degree. Like everyone just starts at a different spot, and that's the beauty of being on a basketball team is that you got people from all different walks of life in all different scenarios, and that's what I love about Eastern Washington is it gives everyone that chance. Obviously for our team, but for the state too. It's a school um, that at the end of the day, if you want to find a way to get a degree and you don't have some whether it's the finances or the time or location or whatever it is, Eastern Washington gives those people a chance, and I think that's something that's really really important in the community and in the state and in our country. Um, and so I try to get our guys to understand that they have a huge opportunity and they got to make the most of it. Our guys do a great job, and I think we recruit to that. Like when we got good, we kind of figured out the four things that worked, the four characteristics of guys who were good in our program. And number one was character. We want to recruit high achieving guys that overachieve, and that shows as a student, and then that bleeds over to the basketball court. And the other things were IQ, motor, and skill. and so those were more basketball things. But just like the idea that we're not just recruiting athletes, someone that can jump high or run fast or whatever. That number one, it's a team game, and number two, it's a skill game,
Hmm.
and just making sure that our guys are high character and understand the opportunity that they have to get a degree, and then hopefully set themselves up for later in life. Like shoot, I was a math and computer science guy in college, and I'm not using very advanced math or anything now, but like as a college coach, but I think that just the analytic way of thinking, the learning how to get things done, and learning how to finish the graduation paperwork by yourself. That stuff's important because you're gonna have to do paperwork in life, and just to get stuff done. Mindset is a big deal that college teaches you.
I agree 100%. Okay, kind of transition off this a little bit. Let's talk about the European trip that you guys are about to go on. When this comes out, I'm sure you guys will probably be just getting back. What is the point of it? What are you looking to get out of it? And have you looked at any good places to eat?
Yeah. So what we're trying to get out of it is give our guys an opportunity to travel the world. Just talking to our guys, like we have a kid from Germany, Croatia. We have um, a coach from Spain, a player from England, and so we'll ask some of the Americans, like, hey, where's Germany? And we'll pull up Google Maps, and some of our guys don't even know where Germany or where Spain is, and it's just like you know, the American culture doesn't necessarily teach that as well. And so to give these guys an experience where they get to travel across the world, see different people or see different cultures, really get to be a part of it because Ethan's going to show us around England and Pedro's going to show us around Spain. So that's the first thing is get them out of their comfort zone, see something new. Second thing is team bonding, just to get closer as a team, and then we get to compete and have fun and play some basketball too. Obviously, that's an advantage for us as a team.
I think that is going to be a great team bonding. I know, like back when we used to just go to like AAU tournaments to like Seattle or whatever,
Yep.
just being in the hotel bonding and stuff. Like those used to be the days. I'm sure. I'm sure you, if you played AAU, you know. Okay, let's talk about you made some changes to your coaching staff this year. You added two new coaches and promoted two new coaches or two coaches that were already in the system to assistant coaches. Talk about what goes into that.
Yeah, change is inevitable. We had a couple assistants get great opportunities. Mark got to be Division two head coach, and Coach O had a chance to make a little more money for his family, and so really happy for those two guys. But change is a great thing too. We got two really really good coaches to replace those two with Donald Brady and Jerry Brown. High level coaches. Donald won a championship at Bellevue College. Jerry's had some high level experience. Is great with the guys. Just working with them for the last month or two has been great. Those guys are amazing. And then Ben and Blake, just for them to get this opportunity to coach and for what they've done with our programs, been most people don't see the work they do. It's not out in the open. They're not getting the Coach of the Year award or anything like that, and some of those support staff positions. But they've developed into amazing coaches. They can really see the game. They know what we're doing. They're going to be really good coaches, and I'm just excited to be able to have them in a bigger role this year.
That is going to be super cool to see what happens with them. Let's talk about a couple players that are going to be coming in this year that are going to take some steps maybe in the program this year. I seen you guys got Mason Williams. Am I saying his name correctly?
Yeah.
Mason Williams. Okay. Out of O'Day. You went to Whitworth. I know if you know the Washington landscape, O'Day is a prominent school in Washington. Let's talk a little bit about him, and then I also want to talk about Jake Hyman as well.
Yeah. So Mason's a hell of a player. He's a late bloomer, kid who grew late. I can't remember exactly how tall he was as a freshman. He was short. He's been around high level basketball. Played with Paolo. You already mentioned O'Day. Played for Rotary. Like he's played around some really good players. Been around some great players. His dad's a great coach. His uncle's a great coach. And so just his mindset's great. He's come in, he's taking notes every day when he comes watch film with the coaches. He's in the gym probably too much. I gotta keep him out of there to keep him healthy. Like he's put on weight this summer, which is a big thing for him. The kid's gonna be a stud. Excited for his development. I'd love to get Washington guys and guys from the West Side that can, guys like Alvin Snow changed our culture back in the day, coming over from the West Side, and so for us to get a guy like Mason to come in is exciting. So he'll be good. Excited about his future in the program, and then Jake Common, yeah, the dude's special. Can shoot the crap out of it. Really, really helpful to have someone that can come in that role after Steele leaving, and fill some of those shoes. He doesn't need to do everything that Steele does. He's his own player, but he's a high-level shooter, great guy, works his butt off. Teammates love him, so we're excited to have Jake too.
I'm glad that you kind of with the whole still venters. So I put out a poll today. It was ask you a question, any question, and the most response that I got was about NIL. Okay, so yeah, okay, this is what I feel like people want to know. Okay, so with NIL, with it changing the landscape of things, is recruiting 5 to 8 players every year, is that going to be normal in the college landscape?
For me, the last couple of years it has been. It's my third season as a head coach. I think it just depends on your situation. There was a lot of change when I got the job. We lost our 7 leading scorers, and so we had to recruit. The following year, we had to fill some gaps with some upperclassmen, and when you have that many guys come in, it's tough. So, in a perfect world, no, I'd be like our girls team right now, and they have their whole roster back, and I was just so jealous of them all spring. But I think there will be more roster changeover. There will be more guys wanting an immediate impact, which makes it tough for freshmen. And so it's going to be interesting how this all levels out over the next few years. But people complain and say it's going to kill the low majors or mid majors. They complain and say it's going to only help the top teams. But then you go look at the NCAA tournament this year. It was pretty spread out. Like I think, yes, it makes recruiting different and more transactional in some ways. But relationships are always going to win, and development's always going to win, I think. So we'll see.
Do you like worry about like teams like a Gonzaga that can pay a whole bunch of money, or that have a boosters program that can pay that money? Do you worry that that's going to change? Kind of like I've seen this year that the first team, second team, third team in all Big Ten or all Big Sky team, they lost there was 8 players that went to D1 this year, something like that, 5 to 8. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. Are you worried that this is just going to turn into like a stepping stone, maybe like a 1-year, 2-year rental, and then you go to do something that is, or you go get paid from a big university?
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't really. Number one, I think that we're a spot where I don't think that's going to happen necessarily. Like, Steele did 4 years. He graduated. He was in a different situation than a lot of people. The other guys who left, my first year was, we didn't have a coach for a little bit, and so they hit the portal when we didn't have a head coach. And so for the most part, I think that'll happen less than it did this year. But if it does, like, it's kind of been happening for a long time. Like, Kentucky's been doing the one and done for a while. The NBA's been taking their guys. Or how many of the ACC top, all conference team guys ended up going to the league? Probably a lot. And they still got a pretty good product. People are still following those teams. It's still, as good as ever. So there's always going to be a bigger fish. Maybe it's a little easier to transfer. It's going to change things for sure. There's going to be more of it, but the way you win championships is still going to be with guys that developed and grew up in your system, and maybe you got to sprinkle some transfers in there. But I think, we can talk about how different it is, but it's not going to change that much.
Okay, that's good. Can you discuss how team chemistry works and how you foster a positive team dynamic?
Yeah. I mean, I just think you have to. Your guys are gonna follow what you value, and so I think, to be honest with you, the best way to do it is put them in tight spaces without their phones where they got to talk. And so a great way to do that with team meals, hanging out, just fostering team chemistry is just hanging out and getting to know each other for the most part, and then putting them in scenarios where they got to rely on each other. I think that's something that we do a good job of in practice is making sure they have to talk, they have to rely on each other. One guy's not going to pull them out of a situation typically. They got to have two or three guys working in unison. And so I think we emphasize it every day. Like my board in my office is, I got two goals. The first one is be the closest, most cohesive team in the country. And then, I got three, my bad. Number two is win the Big Sky. And number three is to develop players on and off the court. And so the first one is becoming the most cohesive team in the country. That comes first for a reason, because winning the Big Sky or developing guys to be whatever their goal is should not lead to cohesiveness. Cohesiveness should lead to wins, or it should lead to guys developing. And so
Yes,
let's not
sir.
get it messed up, and let's make sure keep the main thing, which is cohesiveness right now early on in the season.
How do you keep players motivated through the season with like schoolwork and everything that's going on? They got girlfriends, they got everything. How do you keep everybody focused on the main goal?
That's it's a question of life for everybody, right? I don't know. It's just we try to talk about it a lot. We try to build routines. I think the routine piece is huge. Like anyone who's successful in life has a routine. I try to get donors or businessmen or successful people to come talk to our guys and make sure they hint at that they have a routine and that got them there. And so I think that's the big piece, is just having a routine that's going to set you up for your goals.
I agree. What makes a good leader?
uh, that's a good question. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into being a good leader. Um, I think just kind of humility is a big piece of it. Just kind of understanding that you're not perfect and trying to help guys the best way you can, or help people the best way you can. Um, yeah, that's the big one for me is have some of that humility.
Okay. I got a couple more for you, then we'll wrap it up here.
All right.
Give me your thoughts on analytics and how it's changed basketball over the time since you've been playing basketball to how it is now, maybe since like 2007.
Since 2007, it was pretty basic, especially when I played. 2011, Synergy had just started. We started kind of combining stats with film. Um, I I think that's when kind of the wave started. It was around 2010, 2011, of this analytics thing, especially in basketball. We were a little bit behind baseball. Um, it's a tool, it's not gonna, be perfect every time. I think it's something to look at and then ask yourself why that is, or vice versa. If you have a theory, to see if there's some stats to back it up. Um, we're heavy on it. Like we're looking at efficiency a lot. We're looking at how guys play together, like player combinations and different things like that. But I think it's just something that helps keep you in reality. Like reality is a big thing I preach with our guys is are we in reality? And stats can help, and analytics can help back that up and make sure that we're dealing in what's real.
Okay, so it's game day. What does a game day routine look like to you?
Shoot, for me, I'm trying to sleep in as long as I can because my mind's racing. The work's already done, and I just try to make sure the mood's right. Like that's my big thing on game day. Make sure guys are in the right mindset. They're going to be resilient. They're not going to be overly confident or overly scared, and then just kind of keeping it light and keeping the guys pointing in the right direction.
What can we expect out of the team this year?
I think we got a good team. I think we have another team that can compete for a championship. We have a really hard preseason schedule, and that's going to be a big challenge for us. is how we can stay together and stay focused on getting better throughout that preseason. We're on the road a lot. We're playing a lot of Power 5 teams, and so the big question is going to be how well we stay together and how well we keep that growth mindset going into January, because I think we got the team that can win it again.
I agree. I'm super excited to see what you guys do this year. Last question. This is probably one of my most important questions, at least I think. What is your definition of success?
Definition of success. Honestly, is that our guys find a way to get something out of this and achieve their goals individually and collectively. But I think we recruit the right guys when their individual goals happen, the team's going to have success. And so I got in this business to help people and hopefully mentor and help change the direction of people's lives. And so that's a big deal to me, is making sure they walk out of here in a better position than when they started.
We have 2023 Big Sky Coach of the Year, David Riley, with us. I appreciate you, Coach, for coming on. This has been super amazing. I know you're super busy, and I just appreciate you for taking time out of your schedule.
Of course, man. Go Eagles.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks.